Hey YouTube, B Smokehouse back here with you. Today I've got 2 racks of spare ribs. However, this video is not about spare ribs. What this video is about today is rib tips. Rib tips, not to be confused with riblets. So let me show you the difference. So this is a full spare rib. You need the full spare ribs. Most stores now, it used to be easier to find these in my area. Now they're selling the spare ribs with the rib tips removed. I don't want that now. If I'm just doing basically regular spare ribs, then yes, I'll cook with that all day. Why do we want the spare ribs? Well, as you can see, in comparison to loin back ribs or baby back ribs, these are supreme when it comes to fat content. Fat carries flavor, so that's why you would use these. And so spare ribs take a little bit longer to cook because you are absolutely trying to render this fat down. But this fat also helps you keep a juicier product. And that also extends itself to the actual rib tips. Again, not to be confused, these, when I cut this off, you'll see here shortly, rib tips. You can see the striations of fat that runs through these. Even on these. Again, the rib tip. Riblets would be the ends of these cut and portioned out. Not a big fan because usually, unless you're frying them or direct grilling them, they're going to be absolutely dry because typically the end portions of these spare ribs don't have much fat on them. These do, but you got to remember also when they're mass or bulk producing those, sometimes it's the quality of meat is not where it needs to be, which is why they would be making the end portions out of them. All right, at least in my experience. So I'm not going to break down this whole spare rib trim on camera, but I am going to show you guys how we're going to extract. Let me take this off. How we're going to get these rib tips off. Again, not to be confused with riblets. We're doing rib tips today. So if you've never had a rib tip before, so in here, so you got, the spare ribs got bones that go through here, and then there's a chine bone, or in some stores you'll see them called a brisket plate bone. It's here, but in here you have gristle. And when you can get this meat as tender as possible, it'll slide off that gristle. And then not only that, you can cut your own rib portions out of this. Absolutely delicious. All right, so let me show you guys how we're going to separate these. All right, so typically what you want to do, you want to find that end bone. So you can feel that most people are counting 1-2 bones in, but this also allows me, if this was an actual spare rib video where we're doing the whole rack of spare ribs, then I could actually determine the size or how long I want these spare ribs. But let me show you guys what I'm going to do. Now shut up and get this out of the way so we can go ahead and get this cooked on the road. Here. So we're going to go here. So you need a bit of a hefty knife. This knife is a little small for the job, however, it's sharp and it's going through, not an issue. Not an issue. Now I come up from the other side and it's going through, no problem. Yeah, that's one rib tip. That's a bit small, but we're still going to roll with it. And then while we're here, let's get some of this off. Because these I'm just going to freeze, and then when I need some spare ribs to cook, these will be next up. Alright. So this is one rib tip. Alright, we're going to leave this like it is. Alright, and then we'll get these out of the way. And then we're gonna come over here to this one, and I'm gonna try to get this one a little bit bigger. Absolutely, rib tips can be a meal on their own. See, and these are a bit different. The quality of this meat is a little bit better than this one. I got this one from Walmart, and I got this one from Albertsons. I mean, you can look at the redness of the meat. It's a bit better than this one. All right, but I got them because those were the only one full spare ribs I could find. So now this one we can go a little bit lower, meaning we're going to get more of the rib tip. And then we sacrifice a bit of the actual ribs themselves in an effort to make our rib tips a bit wider. But these ribs will still eat whenever I cook them. They'll still eat. Alright. So now let me come under. I think if you ask me, or if someone was to ask me, what do you like better, the actual spare ribs or the rib tips? I think they each have their own place, right? However, sometimes these spare ribs take a bit to cook down, and absolutely, in their place at times, I could absolutely eat a bowl full of rib tips. Indeed. So we got the chine bone that's going to go ahead and come out. Let's see. That's what it is. So now this one we have the bone. We're going to get that up off there, because I don't want to be cooking that. But we save it. I'm not throwing any of this away, guys. Alright. You never know when you can use it. So now, this here. Let's get some of this trash out of the way. Alright. You have a rib tips. Bit small, but we're going to work it. I'm going to give them a quick shape up. So I am going to be using this in my wood burning smoker. I was debating whether to use my pellet grill. However, one of the things with my particular pellet grill, I have a pit boss, is that sometimes it doesn't give me the color that I'm looking for. And I think especially since I'm recording, the color I'm looking for is absolutely necessary for it to be able to come through so you guys can see the colors that I have achieved, because absolutely, when we talk about smoking, color is flavor. We're going to be trying to get it's probably a 4 to 6 hour cook on this. It might cook a little bit quicker. I'm absolutely okay with that. Pepper with these is a must. I like the color that pepper gives off. I like your different hues of reds. So we can get some of that based off the rub that we're going to use. Let me finish shaping this one up. Let's see, this tail is going to burn. So we're going to take to where it's a bit thicker at, get that up off there. And now, alright, we're going to leave it alone after that. So I'm okay with there being fat on this. This fat's going to render, and it's going to leave us with a absolutely juicy product. Alright. And then the good thing about these is when they're done cooking, I can come through and portion them out the size that I want. Alright, we're going to leave it like this as such. I'm going to get some of these edges off here because this stuff like that is going to burn. Alright, let's get these seasoned. I don't think I'm going to use a binder. Actually, I don't think I'll use a binder today. Let's get that backside first. You can see some of the gristle here. This will absolutely come off, and these are cooked properly. Alright, actually I see some other portions I need to get up off here because these are going to burn. Alright. Okay. That's what we're left with, guys. Not too bad. Now, I could have cooked these whole and then separated them after these spare ribs were done. In my experience, they will be overly cooked, right? Because again, these take a bit longer to cook than actual baby back or loin back ribs. So let's get these seasoned up, and then I will come back to you guys when I'm putting these on the smoker. Let me show you. Actually, these are still pretty wet and cold, so I don't think we need a binder. Let me show you. So let's see. We're gonna get some of the brisket rub on one of these that I made for my last brisket video. It already has salt in it, so these are thin pieces of meat. We're not going crazy with the salt, guys. Alright, so we're gonna go in this smaller one. We're gonna put this here, and then we're gonna get it on there. See already that. Oh, you can smell the seasoning already. You can smell that celery seed. Alright. Alright, that's going to be good for that one. And what we might do is come back and hit it with some seasoned salt, but we won't go too heavy on this. Not too heavy. Alright. And there you have it. That's all she's going to take for this one. We're going to let this set to the side. And now I'm going to get busy on this other one. So we'll leave this here. Oop. Alright, so now we're going to start this one off with a bit of Lawry's. That's it for the Lawry's. And we're going to go with some Cosmos cow cover. So I'm going light. This has salt in it as well. Taking it easy. This is a small piece of meat. And then we're going to backdoor with some black pepper. So this has black pepper in it, but not like the amount that I like. Remember, this is a rub. We pat, we don't rub it in. You'll find that if you do rub, you're going to get some chunks in places, and you're going to mess up your even seasoning. That's about what I'm looking for right there. A little bit heavier. A little bit heavier on the black pepper, and then that's it. We will absolutely use what's on the counter. And there you have it. So again, rib tips. I'll be back here with you shortly when I get this cleaned up and get a fire started. Until then. All right, let me show you guys what we got. We just got the mac and cheese and the rib tips on here. Alright, so we got a nice solid cold bed. I did use a little bit more Kingsford blueback charcoal than I normally would. It's a bit windy here. I don't want the wind messing with my fire or my temperatures. Alright. Let's see what we got. Alright. See the green chili mac and cheese? And then our rib tips. I'm going to let this go. I'm going to be out here and check probably every 30 minutes. I'm not sure how long it's going to take on this. However, I do have it positioned closest to the fire. I might come and spin it around so we get promote some even cooking. Other than that, I know these probably going to take 3.5, 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 hours. This is going to be not a long cook, but it's going to be a longer cook. We're gonna roll. We're gonna play this by ear. I'll be back. All right, let's see what we got. All right, that is the mac and cheese. As you can see, it's bubbling around the edges. All right, so this has been on here right at 2 hours. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it. I know the macaroni and cheese shells are they are soft. We're gonna pull this. I'm gonna cover it with foil, get into my oven to keep warm. I've tasted it. The worst thing you could do is over smoke something. As you can see that flame down there. So I've got constant steady flame going. My rib tips are still back there. I need them to get a little bit more color before I pull them off and foil them, wrap them. But we're going to get this off here before it becomes too smoky. I've tasted the cheese sauce. It's right where I like it. It actually complements that green chili salsa. Be back. YouTube, welcome back to B's Smokehouse. We're finishing up these rib tips. So here's what I have. My weather here started getting a little bit crazy. We got some high winds here in my part of Texas. So let's recap what we did. I had 2 slabs of spare ribs that I took, and I separated the rib tips from the actual spare rib sections. Now, in that, I kept reminding you guys that rib tips and riblets are 2 different animals. So again, these are rib tips. What I did once I separated them, I got some seasoning on them, let them set out here at room temperature, and then I went and started a fire. These smoked from around 250 degrees to 270 degrees for about 3.5, right at 4 hours. I did, because of the wind, and that winds, we got some gusty winds tonight. It was going to be really hard for me to keep a fire going. So what I did, I finished them in a 250 degree oven for the last 45 minutes. They are done. I mean, you can see that fat on top is giving way. This is what you want. Typically the finishing temperature on these, I usually finish these at 200 to 205 degrees, right? So these are still piping hot. So now, how are these served? I would serve these just like I would serve ribs. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these. I'll get one out of the way, the smaller one I'll get out of the way. And I'll take these, really beautiful mahogany. I've also done these before and smoked them so long without wrapping them and got them really black, really dark. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take them here, and then you can make these as big or as small as you like. These are really miniature ribs, if you will. They're still really hot too. Burn my fingers.